Write your complete enrollment number first in chat box. Good morning, all of you. Now we start the next practical. That is, you have to implement a Perceptron network. Okay. So I show you the aim of this practical. Then I explain this practical, and then you have to perform this practical. Okay. Am I audible properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Give me the reply. Is it visible this screen?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you have to implement a Perceptron network. So what is Perceptron and what are the activation function? This link is attached in this classwork. So you can also take the reference of this link, and I explain what is in Perceptron network and how to implement in Python. Then you have to perform this practical and then upload it till next lab. Okay. So first of all, I give the overview what is Perceptron network and how you have to implement. Uh, 1 minute, I share my screen. Uh, okay, all are visible. What is Perceptron?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so perceptron is a neural network, is an interconnected systems of perceptron. So it is a safe to say perceptron are the foundation of any neural network. So perceptron can be viewed as a building block in a single layer in a neural net made up of four different parts. So the perceptron is a simple basic neural network that consists of a four component, that is the input layer or the one input layer, then weight and bias, then their net sum, and then activation function. So you can see in this example, this is the basic perceptron network that is developed in 1969. This is the first neural network that consists of input. So x1, x2 and x3 is the input, and their weights are w1, w2 and w3. Here you have to sum the net summation of this network. That means x1 into w1 plus x2 into w2 plus x3 into w3. Then you have to use the activation function to further processing. Means the input is a the sigmoid function take the decision that this layer is go in the next direction or not. So here there is a two part. The first one, they sum this all the inputs with multiplication of their weights, and then sigmoid function take the decision that is further process or not. Okay. So what is activation function? I explain. Then you have to use any activation function in your perceptron network, and then you have to implement this perceptron network. There are the different types of activation function. The most popular is sigmoid and 10H. Okay. So what is activation function and its type? So you can see here the x1, w1, x2, w2, x3, w3 and xn, wn is summation at here, right? Now you have to calculate the activation function, that is like logic stick, 10H, softmax, relu, leaky relu, logic stick, 10H, and these different type of activation function are available. So you have to choose for that is preferable for your problem. Okay. So first of all, you have to sum this all the inputs with their weights, and then you have to select any activation function and then generate the output, that is your y. Okay. So activation function is a very important features of a artificial neural network. They basically decide whether the neuron should be activated or not. Okay. These are the neurons, means you have to calculate which neuron is activated in next direction. So this function is used, that is called as the activation function. Then you have to assign a weights, right? And the one new parameter is a bias. bias is added in this summation of your their multiplication product, that is x1 into w1 plus x2 into w2 plus x3 into w3 plus this value is the bias. Okay, now you have to find the which activation function you are using to further processing. Then you have to use any activation function, and then you have to generate the output of your system. Okay, see, these are the requirement training, and the output you have to give the testing algorithm. Now there are the different activation function, the mainly three category: linear function, binary step function, and non-linear function. When we use linear function, if the data are classified in linear manner, so you can see here in one line we are classify the data in two types. So that time we have used the linear function, that is your y is equal to mx plus c. Okay, when you have to use the different differential result, you can see here how to use this function. Here there are the lots of input x1 x2 up to dash. Then you have to calculate this average of this input with their weights, and then you have to use the activation function. Here they are using linear function, so you have to Perceptron network. Now the binary step function. When we have to use binary step function, is that contain the two value on and off. Binary step function are popular known as a threshold function, and it is very simple function. When you have to classify if the cat, the image is cat or dog, so only two possibility is there, 0 and 1. So that's why you have to use this type of function. You can see here, first of all, you are giving the features of image. Suppose you are giving the image of cat that contain eyes, nose, mouth, and leg, and then individual image part has a weight. Means if it is the dog size, then the weight is 0. If it is a cat nose, then their weight is near equal to 1. If their leg is the same as it is or similar to the cat leg, then they are value near equal to 1. So you have to calculate the product of this x1 into w1, x2 into w2, x3 into w3, and xn into n. Okay, then you have to add the bias and use the activation function, that binary step function. In that, if it is a 1, then the image is a cat image. If it is 0, then you have to say that the image is not cat image. Okay, so these are the function used to calculate the final decision. So when we have non-linear function, so when the data is not easily separable, okay, so at that time you have to use the non-linear function. The most popular are sigmoid or logistic activation function. So you can see what is the equation of sigmoid function. So fx is equal to 1 upon 1 plus e raised to minus x. Okay, so this is the graph when your data is not linearly you can separate. So that's why you have to use this type of function. Okay, so this is the most popular, and there you can also see in this figure there are some advantages of this sigmoid function, and then the 10h function. When your output is range between 1 to minus 1, then you have to use this function, and sigmoid has range 0 to 1. Okay, based on that you have to choose any activation function that is related to your problem. The ReLU is mostly used in deep learning, so that name is rectified linear units. Okay, sometimes their value is in this manner 0 to infinite, and then sometimes that is constants. That time you have to use this type of ReLU function. You can see in this figure. So this is their advantage and cons. So you have to use based on your problem. So this is also the new version of ReLU, that is the Licky ReLU. Sometimes that maybe in this the value is near equal to this line. So you can see the range of this Licky ReLU, and then based on that you have to select any function of a activation function. Okay, now we come to the topic how to implement this network. So I show you one with one example how to code and all. Then you have to implement. Okay. I think you have clear what is input layer, output layer, and all. All are clear? And activation function. Now all are visible this screen. Google Colab.
Yes, ma'am.
So starting with the, you have to give the training and you have to generate the output, right? So what is the problem? I have implemented for one problem that I explained. Then you have to show the code so you have easy to understand. So first of all, I create a Perceptron network for. You can see here in my network, I have a three input, that is input x1, x2 and x3. Okay. Here, first of all, I sum all the inputs with my weights. Means x1 w1 plus x2 w2 plus x3 w3 at here. Okay. Then I use the sigmoid function for finding the net. The neurons are directed in next direction or not. So here I use sigmoid function and then generate the y as the output. So what is the equation for sigmoid function? The 1 upon 1 plus e raised to minus x. Okay. So you can see here what are the inputs and what is the output of my problem. So first of all, I take example 1, 2, 3 and 4. I have a 3 input value and 1 output. Means this is my training data. So I train a network based on these 4 example and their value is input. When the input is 0, 0 and 1, then output is 0. When my input is 1, 1, 1, then output is 1. When my input is 1, 0, 1, then output is 1. And when my input is 0, 1, 1, then my output is 0. Okay. So this is the inputs and this is the output of my system. I train my network based on this 4 example, and then I have given one testing example. Means I give the input 1, 0, 0. So I have to predict what is the answer of this. So you can see my answer of network is 1, because you can see when the input is 0, 0, then the output is 0. If it is a 1, then the output is 1. Okay. So I have to test this data on my network. First of all, I train this network data, train a network using this 4 example, and I give as a testing time this data. Okay. So how to create a inputs layer in Python? So you can see practically. So you have more clear. This is a very easy way to implement a neural network in Python. Few lines of code required, but you have to clear the concept of this activation, input layer and output layer. Okay. So here you can see, first of all, I import the numpy. So as you know, numpy required for array calculation. And then I define one function. Here I use the sigmoid function. Okay. Sigmoid is the activation function. Then value is 0, 1, 2, 3, and output is 0. Okay. Up to this clear? All are clear? I use the sigmoid function. Okay. Okay. Now I have to create a training or the input layer, right? So that consists of I also show you 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1 and 0, 1, 1 are the inputs of my neural network. So again, I showed you this. You can also see in this table. These are the inputs that are given in my network. That is here you can see the input is 0, 0, 1. Then out the second input 1, 1, 1. Third input is 1, 0, 1. And the fourth input is 0, 1 and 1. Right? So these are the inputs layer of my system. And this is what is the output layer, means the value is 0, 1, 1 and 0. Okay. So I create a 4 layer of input, means 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1 and the 0, 1, 1, and output layer is 0 1 1 0. Okay, so you have to create a input layer and output layer using this code. So you can see how to create an input layer of neural network. So training input, that is np.array, in that I pass this input value 001, 111, 101 and 011. Now already I show you the output value 0, 1, 1 and 0. Clear? Now weights. So first of all, in initial position, how I give the weights to our system, right? So I generate a random weights because there is no fixed algorithm to assign a weight value in initial position. Okay, so I use the synaptic weight that automatically generate the random value that is in range between 3 to 1. Okay, then these weights are assigned in this neural network or the perceptron network. Okay, so and then I repeat the input layer and output layer and also apply the sigmoid function. So I start with the 4 iteration in range 1. I continue the loop till the all the input. The input layer is equal to this already assigned training input, and the output is equal to sigmoid. I apply sigmoid function that is already I define in this, and that I pass the 2 parameter inputs and synaptic print the output. So first of all, I print the synaptic weight, they automatically generate by this function, that is the random function. So you can see the output of my function. To automatically generate the weights that are minus 0.165. These are the 3 weights because I have a 3 input, x1, x2 and x3, right? So x1 into w1, so this is the w1, then x2 into w2, so this is the w2 and this is the w3. So these are the weights generated by this random generator function. Okay, and what is the output? So you can see this is the output of my perceptron network. Now next you have to do that, you have to find the error propagation, means error is equal to outputs minus actual input. Okay, then you have to back propagate this output to the input layer and then decrease the error and generate the output that is your 1. Already I show you in test what is the testing. So you can give this input to your system and test which is right. Your input layer and output layer. Now you have to test this data, that is the 100. You have to give this input and you have to generate the right answer, that is the 1. Okay, so start implementation. If you have any question in this neural network, then you can ask me a question. I think you have clear. If you have any question, then you can ask me question right now. Input layer, output layer, sigmoid function and all. So you have to upload this practical till next lab, and in this Saturday you have a exam of unit number 2, that is your game theory and the natural language processing. Okay, now I think all the students have activated their email ID, right, of PPSU. So ready with your game theory concept and natural language processing. In this Saturday I take exam, and the first exam of game theory is 30 marks and the natural language processing is 10 marks. Okay, so you take the ball pen and the notebook for calculation of game theory problem, that is the minimax and the alpha beta pruning algorithm, and then you have to give the exam of game theory and the only 10 marks for natural language processing. So at 4:50 to 5 o'clock you have to give the exam. 4:50 to 4:45 you have a game theory test, and then the next is the natural language processing. Okay. So, if you have any question in today's practical, then you can ask me a question, and I share all the documents in the reference link. And this is the now we come to the next, that is only you have required 2 practicals, right? So you have to implement any AI application. So you have to, in next lab you have to submit the final definition for AI application, and then next lab 2 you have to implement your AI application. I provide a time for 4 labs. Okay. So you have to submit this AI, any AI application. Already I have taken the name of your AI application in previous it's starting of this semester, right? If you want to change the definition of your AI application, then you can modify till next lab. Okay. So I provide the 4 to 5 lab for implementation of your final application. Then I put the 50% marks of this application. Okay, so give your best in this application. Clear? If you have any question, then you can ask me a question. Otherwise, start implementation. And all the students, I think you have write your enrollment number. If anyone left, then you can write your enrollment number first, and then I take the attendance. 1 minute. Starting with enrollment number 16. 16, 5, 3, 10, 35, 45, 40, 17, 15, 46, 37, 29, 32, 42, 3, 19 number, 31, 6 number, 43, 41, 36, 1 number, 18, 33, 39, 25, 2 number, 11, 23, 8 number, 29 and 17. Okay.
Ma'am, 34.
Okay,
Ma'am,
34.
22.
34 and then 34 is present.
22, ma'am.
22. Okay. 22 also
37, ma'am.
present.
37.
37. Yes, is present. 9 number is also present. Okay. If 10 number, yes, 10 is also present. Okay, start your implementation and upload all the previous practical those students have not uploaded till next lab, and submit your final definition that already I share in one submission or title submission of your AI application. You have to develop any AI application. You can choose any, like you can use the natural language processing, you can use image processing, you can use any type of, but you have to implement AI application. Okay, so you have to implement. This is the final at submission I take at last. So you have to, I give the 4 lab for implementation of this AI application. Okay, so you have to start implementation of this practical, and I share one document. You have to submit the final definition of your this subject, that is the implement AI application within a 2 members of a group. Means you can make a implement this definition in 2 groups person, not more than 2. And if you want to be single submission application. If you have any question, then ask me. Otherwise, you can start implementation.
रिपीट करो ने अवाज कपाई गयो
લાસ્ટમાં તમારે આ સબ્જેક્ટ ભણ્યા છો એના માટે એક એપ્લિકેશન બનાવવાની છે, એઆઈ એપ્લિકેશન. મીન્સ કે તમે કોઈ નેચરલ લેંગ્વેજ પ્રોસેસિંગ, અધરવાઇઝ કોઈ ઇમેજ પ્રોસેસિંગ